this up. Okay, well, welcome everyone. I'm just gonna get started because I'm trying to condense 4 hours down into an hour, hopefully. And so let me give you an agenda of how this is going to work. You hopefully you have the workbook available, printed out. If not, just know you go on Facebook and go in the files section in our group and you can get that. Let me share my screen with you. Dun, dun, dun. Hold on, let me get the right one up. Sorry, I don't know why it's not wanting to share a PDF. Very good. Let me try it again. There we go. Okay. So we're basically going to be going through this. Can you see that very well? Do I need to make it bigger? Is it readable? Let's get it bigger. Okay. So agenda for today. We're going to be going through some of the why behind this, and really so that you can be able to break down your goals into real actions. And also, we know that things are going to come up for the next year. They do, like you've experienced it last year and the year before, however long you've been in. That's just life, how you can anticipate that and still continue to reach your goals. And then how you can help your leaders, for those of you who have leaders right now, how you can help them to create their own plan, but also if you don't have leaders, that you'll be prepared in helping them to create their own plan moving forward as soon as you find them. And so we're going to be talking about these core principles of first leading yourself, providing clear direction, and you're going to get some really clear direction in this. And then this principle of your job is to help your leaders reach their profit goals, not their rank goals, their profit goals. And their profit goals may be attached to a certain rank for them, but that is your leader's job, is to reach their profit goals, and your job is to hit your own rank. So you might want them to hit a certain rank, but that's not their job. Their job is to hit their own profit goals, and that might be tied to a certain rank. It may not. So this is going to help get clarity on that. So this week is really the time to be able to set up your plan and create that and help your leaders create their plan. And next week you can be worrying about how to implement new products from convention. And since people can't get them until October, you don't need to be really stressing about promoting them so much right now. Okay, so how this is going to work. Normally in a workshop, I would ask these questions and you would give me comments and answers, but because I'm trying to keep it down to an hour, we're going to go through these and I'm going to explain the workbook for you, because there is some understanding that you have to have in order to do an effective plan. And then as we're going, you can be filling this out, but I promise you, you'll probably have to take some extra time beyond this 1 hour to work on your plan. And then what you'll want to do is also set up appointments, if you have leaders, with them to make sure that you're helping them to create their plan. I would have them watch this to get a better understanding of the workbook, and then have a call with them to help figure those things out. And I would recommend that you reach out to your upline and you have a coach or a mentor who you can work through this plan with. They will see things that you don't see. You will help them see things that they don't see. So that's the two things that I want you to write down and make sure that you make happen, is that you have a call with downline and upline. Okay, so getting started. Here's what you have to realize. I think most of you went to convention. I want you to just think or write, if you have your workbook, I want you to write, like, how do you feel, or how did you feel at convention? Like, what were some of those feelings? I'm sure there was like lots of great ideas. It was exciting to meet with new people, the new products that came out, just that collaboration, the energy, like it can be amazing. So you just take the time to write those things down and realize anytime that there is a big event, you're going to have these types of emotions. That's one of the reasons why they have events. It helps to bring people on board to catch a greater vision. But then generally what happens the following week, at some point, you will start feeling some different emotions. And so you might want to imagine, if you haven't gotten to those emotions yet, but I'm sure your leaders are going to be going through this, and probably yourself. You might feel a little broke. You might feel a little overwhelmed. You might have like a bazillion ideas in your brain and you're trying to figure out how to implement those because you heard so-and-so in the hall talking about this great idea that she did, or this person was talking about this great idea that they did. You might feel insignificant. You might have felt maybe a little bit down because you had a goal to be a certain rank at that convention and you weren't that rank. Might feel a little embarrassed. You might be a little paralyzed because you are so overwhelmed and like life is here now. You're on vacation and now life is here and you have all these other responsibilities, but you have all these great ideas that you want to implement and just don't feel like you can do it. So if you haven't reached those emotions, I promise you, you will at some point. So it's good to be aware of that and know that that's what your team is going through. They're going through those same exact emotions at convention, and right after convention, you know, it happens. So why is it important to understand this? Well, because our thoughts lead to emotions and our emotions lead to actions. If we are in a place where we're not excited, we're overwhelmed, we're feeling broke, we're feeling confused, insignificant, if we're feeling that way, that will lead to certain actions for ourselves, and that will impact our team. And if you have people on your team who are feeling that way, that will impact their actions, that will impact their team. And so it's learning really how to manage and lead ourselves first and recognizing those types of emotions and things that you can do, obviously oils and different things, but really having a plan can help you to manage those emotions. And it's the same for your team. If you can't manage yourself, you're not going to be able to help lead your team. So those are things to be thinking about. Some questions that are important to be thinking about are, you know, well, before I get into that, I want to just briefly talk about identity as far as we are not our rank. We are not our goals. We are not, we are individual people with value. Outside of anything that we do or accomplish, we have great innate value. And so oftentimes we tie our self-esteem and our self-identity to our rank, at least in doTERRA, and it can be other things in life. And when we do that, it's just really dangerous and harmful. So I don't want you to tie your identity to your rank. It's just something that's out there. It's not who you are. So thinking about how many leaders have, and you can raise your hand if you want, how many leaders have set a goal to be a certain rank or do a certain thing or whatever and didn't reach it? Most of us have done that, right? And that can feel heavy. That can be, especially if you went through the process and you told people like, this is what I'm doing, and you didn't. That can be just a really heavy thing to deal with, but trying to manage that for yourself and helping your team members to manage that as well, that they are not their rank. And I hope that you don't tie their worth by them hitting a rank for you so that you can reach your goals, or that they are no good because they aren't reaching these ranks. Okay, that's just something I think we need to get out there and that we see often. And the other thing is that I know that a lot of people have blocks with setting goals, especially if you have set a goal and you didn't reach it. So I want to help change maybe a little bit of thinking about goals and just that word in general. And there's really 3 things that need to take place in order for you to create the life that you want. First, you do need to have that vision, that why. We talk about it a lot in doTERRA, and I think of just this grandiose something that we're trying to achieve, and the clearer you can get on what that looks like, how you want life to look, the things that you enjoy doing, the freedom that you want to experience, it's important to have that, right? And that's the why. And then goals really are the what. So for me, that changes things when I think if goals are just the what, okay? And meaning they're like the benchmark. So in order for you to reach your vision, you probably need to have a certain income. For most of us, that takes income to do the things up here that we really want to do. And so a goal, at least in doTERRA, in order to create that income, it might be that you have a goal of being diamond, right? Because that may bring the income that you need to create the vision that you have. So you have a goal of diamond. That's the what. That's the benchmark. That's the knowing that I'm progressing towards this vision. So you have these benchmarks, which are your goals or your what. And what some people tend to do is there's another piece to this, and it's called your plan or your how. And that's sometimes people think that their goal is their plan. So when they say, I'm going to be diamond, that's their plan. That's their goal and their plan all together, and they don't reach it because they really don't have a plan. They just have a what. This is what I'm trying to accomplish, but you really do need to have the how. How am I going to reach diamond? And that's what we're going to create. And so some people fear setting a goal of being diamond by next convention because they've set goals before and they haven't accomplished them. But what I'd like to propose is that they just didn't have the right plan in place to reach that goal. There was nothing wrong with the goal. It's just that the plan wasn't solid. The plan wasn't thought through, or they didn't stick to the plan, or they didn't have a plan at all. It was just really vague of how they were going to get there. So just know that the why is important, the what is important, and the how is what we're going to be working on here. Kind of the goal and then the plan. Okay, so with that being said, what I want you to do, you can do this quickly right now. You can just fill this in. So if this is for me, the desired rank, what that one means is if you have leaders on your team, that's the rank that you want to put that you would like them to be. According to whatever your goal is, that's what you would like them to be. So for instance, if I want to be silver by next convention, then my desired rank for me is silver. My actual rank, I might be an elite, I might be a manager, whatever. I put my actual rank there that I'm actually hitting, not my title. So you might have hit silver, but you dropped down to something. You want to put your actual rank, and then you want to put the likely rank goal for yourself. That's going to be silver as well. But on this next column, so let's say I have Jill. Jill is here. Desired rank, I would put her, I would like her to be at least elite. For me to be silver, I need to have 3 elites, right? Her actual rank, so maybe she's brand new, so she's a manager, so I put manager. Likely rank, well, I've talked to Jill. Jill wants to be silver too by next convention. She doesn't want to be elite, so her likely rank would be silver, whatever it is. Okay, so if you have leaders, you want to fill this out for each one of them. You want to put, like, what's your morale? What's your emotions towards this? Are you excited? Are you like, I can see this happening, I'm just ready to go? Or is it, you might have a leader that's like, I want to do that, but I've not been able to be consistent or whatever. You just want to put a number 1 through 10, what you think their morale is. If you have that conversation, you can fill that in. And then any other miscellaneous notes that you might think are important as you're just kind of brainstorming and kind of putting where, as far as rank goes, okay? Then we're going to go down to how to break down rank goals. And we're going to go through this, and then I'm going to go through the call agenda, which kind of maps out the process of doing it all, okay? But there's a couple of things you need to kind of understand, and this is one of them. So why is hitting rank so hard? I'd propose why it's so hard is because it's super vague. Because when I say I'm going to be silver, well, great. You can go look on your little rank planner. You see, okay, silver is me, and then I have 3 elites. Each elite has 3,000 in OV. So if I create that, I'm silver. Woo! Well, what does that really mean on a day-to-day basis? It's pretty darn vague. And that's probably one of the reasons I would propose that's probably the biggest reason why it's so hard. It's just because it's so ambiguous as far as how do you do that. And so we're going to break it down to figure out how to do that. And I do want to mention that there is a difference between hitting a rank and being a rank. So hitting a rank is I pushed and I got there, right? And so that month I was silver. But what happened the next month? Not silver, or maybe you had to like push and hit silver, but at some point you're not just consistently hitting silver. Being a rank is what we want. We want to be a rank. Now, sometimes for convention purposes, because you want to celebrate, you might really push to hit a rank prematurely. Got it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand there is a difference between hitting a rank and being a rank. Being a rank is where you create an army of people, right? And so like every month, people are just ordering. And when you create enough of that, you are that certain rank. You can go in your back office and it's like the 15th of the month and you already are that rank. And that's what we really want to get to. And that creates peace in your life because you're not always feeling like, I need more volume to get back to that rank. You become that rank. And I think every single one of us here has had a life-changing experience with the oils. We have had the oils impact our life in some way that it has changed us, that it has helped us, that it has served us. And I believe we do have an ethical responsibility to share that because we have experienced that change and we know that it can help so many other people. We have an ethical responsibility to share these things with others. And so changing your mindset is that if we have an ethical responsibility to do that, we want to be able to share oils effectively and well with people. And we want to build a team in order to, because if it's just you, there's no way that you can impact millions of lives. Like you can impact, a handful here and there, depending on how much time you have. But without this army of people with you, without a team, you're not going to be able to create the impact that we need to create because we know the oils work. And so just taking that mindset and knowing that we're going to get better at selling oils, we're going to get better at building teams. So let's go to this math part. Let's math it because it really, I don't know if you love math or hate math, but I love algebra, basic math stuff. If you don't, whatever, I'm going to give you numbers. And you want to write this down. So in doTERRA, the numbers, on average, it takes you get one builder out of 8 customers. So if you were to enroll 8 customers, solid customers, and in a certain way, on average, you will be able to get 1 builder, okay? So that's a key number to have, little formula to have. Also, 1 builder generates between 1,000 and 1,500 PV on average. So let's just kind of math this as an example. So if you wanted to be solid elite, I want to be elite. How many builders would you need to have on your team to be solid elite? Give me a number. 3. Yes, 3. And I'm going to go with the low ball, 1,000, okay? So 3. They could be on your front line. They could be stacked down. It doesn't matter. But to be a solid elite, you would need to have 3 builders. Okay, so with that being said, if you are wanting to be silver, how many elites would you need? You need 3, right? And each of those legs that are elite, they need to have 3 builders. So yeah, you might have your key builders. Yes, so you're going to need 9 total, right? You're going to need your key builders, but there needs to be at least 2 others underneath them building to be solid. So every month you hit elite. They need to be active builders. So once you realize that, it's not just about you getting 3. Like it really is about you helping your leaders find leaders. And not just 3 that go on their front line. You need active people. So that's just a formula you need to realize. And so if you have a leg that is weak, you realize that it needs more builders, obviously, right? And there's kind of a formula figured out. Okay, another formula, just to kind of put in your notes because we're going to use it later, is that half of your time. So for instance, let's say you mapped out and said, okay, I have 20 hours I could put into my business every week, okay? Half of that time should be spent in appointments. Miracles and magic happen in appointments. And when I say appointments, I just mean that people are being taught about essential oils. So for you, that might be at a booth. For you, that might be a class. For you, that might be a one-on-one. It might be a 2-on-1. But half of that time, so if you have 20 hours, 10 of that should be spent face-to-face or on the phone teaching people about oils in those appointments. And that can help you to map out how you're spending your time, right? And the other half, you're going to be spending making those appointments, doing the follow-ups or doing the things that might need to take place for a class or setting up a booth or whatever it is. But half of that time should be. And so you as a leader can also help your leaders because if they say, hey, yeah, I could spend 10 hours, 5 of that should be in appointments. The other 5 should be figuring out where those appointments are coming from, right? So that's another important equation that you need to have there. And then the final equation is that it takes 5 leads to get 1 appointment. So 5 contacts, that might be warm market, cold market, whatever it is, referrals, It usually will take about 5 to get one person to listen. So if you're talking about a class and you wanted 5 people in a class, on average, you're going to have to invite 25 people. Okay, so these are just kind of math numbers that we're going to use to make some calculations later on. Okay, let me see. So where is the skill gap for most people? Because really all that we have to do is sell oils and teach people how to sell oils. That's just what we do, like over and over again. We sell oils and teach people to sell oils. That's really it. And then this third skill would be to develop leaders, right? So those are basic skills that we should have. And we have in the workbook, there is kind of a skills assessment that we'll go over later. And this will be helpful for creating your plan of moving forward. But some of those I don't know that we're lacking in vision in doTERRA so much. Some of us are lacking in planning and organizing, prioritizing. So some of us might have kids and we need to get better at logistically knowing how to manage having kids and having a business. Like, do I need to get a babysitter sometime if I'm doing something? Do I need to do a swap and do something like that? So there are different skills that are listed in the workbook that are important. We're not going to go over all those skills, but you're going to have a little bit of an assessment. I'll tell you, one of the biggest things, especially for people who might think they run out of their warm market, is leads. And so we're going to be talking about that skill farther down. I just want to see where I put it. We're going to be talking about that one. It's huge, super important. So just know that there's skill gaps for people and why they don't progress. There's a skill gap for you, why you're not reaching the next point that you want to reach. And so you'll be able to do an assessment on that. Okay, so let's go through this coaching call. The coaching call really is just the agenda for you working through creating your plan. Okay, so you're going to do a brain dump. We're going to go through what goals are running through your head from convention and stuff that's going on there. We're going to break down your rank goal, and we're going to break down the goal itself into monthly, and then it will be weekly actions that we take, and then we'll do the skill assessment, and then we should bring that all together to have a yearly plan and a weekly plan. Okay, so basically you're going to fill out, you're going to put this, my goal. For me, this would be Stacy's. I'm going to do a brain dump. So you might have had a bazillion ideas from convention. This is where you put them. If you didn't have a page like this, I had a page like this that was just specifically ideas from convention. And instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm going to implement this, I just said, I'm just writing it on a page. I'll evaluate it later if it's something I want to do. So I have this page of just all this stuff, right? And so you do want to get that out of your head and put it on paper if you haven't already. The second thing is that what goals are running through your head. So while you were there was probably things that you were thinking about, like, oh, I want to move into Mexico. I want to expand here, or I want to reach this rank. Just brainstorm, and if you're on a call with one of your leaders and you're helping them through this, just help walk them through that. Like, just put it down. There's nothing wrong. Just put it down on paper. You know, what are your goals? And why is it important to you to accomplish that? And there's not a right or wrong answer, and it doesn't have to be some big holy thing like I'm trying to save the world. Whatever it is okay. And then you want to ask them, how would you accomplish that goal? So a lot of people come from convention and they want to reach the rank of diamond. And that's awesome, because diamond is awesome. And so if that's what yours is, to be able to write that down. Have you thought of a way to accomplish that? And you'll want to kind of brainstorm if you've thought of ways to do that. Key things with being a leader is teaching people to think. Thinking yourself and teaching people to think. So thinking through this process, have I thought of any ways to do that? I mean, I've heard probably some other people's stories or whatever. Maybe you went to share success or this whatever training and you got some ideas there. It's good to just get those out there and see if any of those are viable things for you, okay? So this is brain dumping again. And then as far as you know, asking your leader, would it be okay if I help help you reach that goal or map it out of like how you could accomplish that. And that's what we're going to work through right now. Okay, so now you're going to break down that rank goal. So let's just say, for instance, I'm going to do an example of silver and then one of diamond. So maybe your current rank now is silver and you want to be diamond by next convention. You're going to need to be in your back office and pull out these numbers, but you're going to write down like your first qualifier. So if your first qualifier is Amy, right? You're going to write her name down. What's her current rank? What's her goal rank? What does she want to reach? Or where do you want her to be? Because you have to see if this is even viable, right? Goal rank would be for her, if you are wanting to be diamond, she needs to be silver. And what's the OV needed? And you just add that entire thing up of how much actual volume is going to be needed in order for her to reach that. And then you're going to divide that by 8, right? Because that equation that we have, 1,000 PV per builder. So let's say you still she needs to be silver and she's 5,000 away. You know, somewhere on there you need 5 liters just to get the volume that you need, okay? And then for, I don't remember her name, Amy, she has 1 liter, Susie. So go ahead and fill out Susie. What's her current rank? What's her goal rank? She needs to be an elite, right? What's the overall volume that's needed for her to be elite? Maybe she's 1,000 away, 1,000 PV. She needs 1 more liter, right? And then fill in for Susie if she has any liters and put that same thing in here. And you do this for that first qualifier of yours, right? And just fill it out. And so you'll need to be in your back office to work this out. And you may not know like who the leaders are. You might be in an organization where you're not quite sure like who's actively building now. And you'll want to know, okay, well, I have leg A here, but she's not actively building. And you know, leg B here, she's actively building. You'll want to know and make note. You can put a little star by those that are actively building, just to kind of see what's there, right? In order to create your plan, you have to know where you're at. So then you're going to come down to this section just for that first builder, because if you're doing diamond, you're going to need 4. So some of you will use, and you'll see in the other section, there's more of these. You'll see qualifier 1 through, I think, 6. So you could do presidential diamond if you wanted, map that out. Okay, so you're going to go down here and you're going to say how many builders are needed total. And so you can either add these up because you'll have it here. It's easier, I think, if you're doing it on like leg C, leg B, leg A. And you know, like, okay, I need 1 here, I need 3 here, I need 1 here. So I need 5. Okay, 5 total. How many do I need to contribute and how many does my leader need to contribute? And why you ask this question is you might have a leader who is brand new, and if you told her she needs to get 3 liters, that might be overwhelming. So you might say, well, okay, if you get 1, I'll get 2. I will work, you know, twice as hard. Like, I'm going to put effort into your leg. And as you see them working and as you see them doing the things that they should be doing, then you're willing to place those leaders underneath them. And so this is really a team effort. This is building a team. You're in it, they're in it. Hopefully my internet's okay. Okay, so you're going to have that discussion and you're going to try to figure out. And maybe it's they're getting them all. Like they're a rock star. But now they know they need to have 3 builders. In order to have a solid elite leg, you need at least three builders who are active. And you might have a leg here that you are stacking people underneath, right? It's like one of those legs, your mom's leg, and you didn't have any place to put people, right? So that's not an active builder. You know, in order for that leg to reach certain volume, you're going to have to find the leaders. They might already be there. It might be customers that are converting, or it might be leaders that need to be found. Okay, so let's break this down for silver just to give it another one. So if this were you and you were wanting to reach silver, you'll put in here qualifier 1. You might have another sheet, or you might be able to just say you're the qualifier and you're putting your leader A, your leader B, your leader C, and then leaders who are underneath them and filling this out. So you could do this all on one for silver if you want. So then how many enrollments are needed total? So builders times 8. So if you had, let's say you needed on one leg, let's say this leg you needed 3 builders. And you want to quantify that. You want to put that in how many enrollments would you need to to find those 3 builders. You need to have 8 customers, right? So you're going to be timesing 3 by 8. So on average, if you were to enroll 24 people, you should be able to find 3 leaders. Okay, on average, those are the numbers from doTERRA. Now, as you get going, you're going to have your own average. You might have a higher average, lower average, but now you know at least you're tracking something, you're looking at something. And so it's giving you an idea of, okay, I need 24 enrollments. And how many do I need to contribute? How many of those enrollments am I committing to do? And maybe it's like 3, maybe it's 10. You're deciding that with your leaders as you're doing this. On this leg, I'm going to support it. And my efforts, as I'm setting up my own appointments and I'm enrolling people, I'm going to contribute 8 people to your team. Okay? And so you're breaking down these numbers. Of course, this is going to be more massive for those who are trying to reach the higher ranks than if it's a lower rank. But this gives you the math to figure out, okay, if I need 24 enrollments, if that's just my goal, like all I needed was 3, let's say I'm just trying to hit elite in a year, I'm trying to hit elite. I just need 3 builders, so I need 24 enrollments. I could break that down by month. So let's say I'm going to say 10 months. In 10 months, I'm going to have that. I just divide that by 10. And then you know how many enrollments you need every month. I need 2.5 enrollments per month. So let's say this month, I get to the end of the month and I've enrolled 3 people. Ooh, I'm ahead of the game. Next month, I enroll 2 people. Well, on average, I'm good, right? Because it was 2.5. Okay, I'm still on par with my goal. The next month, what is that? November? I enroll 3 people. I can tell that I am on par to hit my goal because I am sticking. I'm sticking with that. And you might come along and you say, okay, I need 570 enrollments, but you're tracking that. Like if I'm going for Presidential Diamond, you might have a massive number. If you're going through another thing, or on this leg, you know, there needs to be this many enrollments in these key areas. You can be tracking it to see if you are on the track to hit your goal. So this really is, it breaks it down into doable things, right? And so if you know that I need 3 enrollments this month, and you know that it generally, if you teach 10 people, you have 5 people to enroll, that can give you another powerful number to know. I need to make sure I at least teach 10 people. I'm going to enroll 5 people, or you know, whatever number it is you need. So let's break this down again. Let's just say your monthly goal, because you've broken it down, you know, I need overall this many enrollments to find my builders. And so that breaks down to this many enrollments per month. Let's just say it's 8 enrollments, just to throw out a cute number. 8 enrollments to stay on track to hit my goal of maybe it's silver, okay? And I know that if I teach, like I enroll usually 20% of the people I teach. So if I teach 10 people, I enroll 2. So in order to get 8 people to enroll, I'm going to have to teach 40 people. But I have a number. And then I think, okay, if I have to teach 40 people this month, that would mean 10 a week. Okay, do I have the time to set up 10 appointments? Do I have at least 10 hours if I'm doing one-on-ones? Do I have 10 hours to teach 10 people each week? And you might be, heck yeah, I have that. Or I'm going to teach 2 classes, and I know I can get at least 5 people to class. But now you know you need to teach 2 classes a week that have at least 5 people in them in order to reach that 8 people. Now you might have a higher enrollment rate, right? You might enroll half the people that you actually teach, like a good, you sit down and teach them, right? And so you can really map this out as far as how to get to where you want to go. But you do need to track. You do need to plan this out and break it down and you need to know, like, am I on track? You might be way ahead of the game, right? And we're going with 1,000 per builder. You might have on average 1,500. So you might hit your rank a lot sooner, but become or be that builder, you know, it might take a few months to make that solid as you continue in your plan. Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions if there's questions so far, because I know some love and some hate math. Is there anything confusing about this right now? I mean, you might have more questions as you're filling it out yourself, but those equations are important. Okay, no questions. Oh, you have to unmute, I think, or do I have to unmute? Maybe I have to unmute everyone.
We can unmute, Stacy.
Oh, okay. Leona, I can't hear you. You look like you're talking, but I can't hear you.
There. Oh, maybe my audio isn't up.
I can barely hear you now. Okay. Did you have a question?
Yeah, but it's okay. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. No, so my question is, and maybe you don't want to go into this right now because we're talking math, but I was just wondering, out of those 8, do you just invite all of them to do the business and then maybe one will pick, or do you say, hey, I see leadership qualities in this person and you just believe in them, or maybe
Okay.
So
this is really good because this is, I don't know if people want to mute. We have background noise now.
Yeah, mute me again.
Anyone else? No, there's still something. Okay, so here's what this is going to do, because you're going to math out the numbers, and then you're going to start, we're going to get to the next part where these things come up. We're like, what about, because you're going to start seeing, like, because you know the process. Like, I know that you can't just go from customer to builder. There's a process in there. And so we're going to talk about the process and how you can determine where you might have some constraints or some obstacles that come up. Okay? So we're going to talk about that, and that's totally legit question, because for those who know and been in, you're like, wait a minute, it's not that easy. No, it's not that easy. But you do need to have this plan in place of, in order for me to reach diamond, this needs to happen. And then we'll get into the knowing, having the right skills and doing the system to do that. Okay, so depending on how many you have, you might fill out a bunch of these, you might just fill out one, but so you're gonna fill out this little tracker thing where you've broken it down. I'm scrolling through, trying to find the end. That seems awesome. Okay, so now you're gonna break down the goals into a monthly goal, and that's basically what I did with that math there. So how many builders needed total, how many enrollments are needed, because you're timesing those builders by 8, and how many builders per month, and that just depends on when you want to reach that rank. So if you wanted to do it in a year, so next September you want to be that rank, then I would recommend you dividing that number by 10, just giving you a couple month cushion. If you wanting to reach that and get recognized for convention, if it's a leadership rank of silver, gold, or platinum, you need to hit it at least once. But you want to give yourself a little bit of a cushion, so you have to calculate, I would say 8 or 9 months, like divide that by 8 or 9, and that will give you how many enrollments you need per month. If you're wanting to reach diamond, you have to reach it at least twice. So you have to take that into consideration, and so that's where you probably want to divide that by 8 in order to get a more accurate number of enrollments that it's going to take in order to reach diamond. Okay, but this is just giving you an idea. This is just like a place to start your plan. Okay, so now you have these numbers. But now what you want to do for yourself, and when you're on these calls with your leaders, is you want to, in your mind, fast forward to 2018 and you did not hit your goal. And you want to list the reasons, like what happened. And you want to foresee some things that may come up that made it so you didn't hit your goal. And it could be anything, and it could be different for everyone. So for me, I might be thinking, well, gosh, I literally only have 10 hours a week that I could put into this business. Is that enough hours? Like, that wasn't enough hours to accomplish that goal. Or I didn't manage my time very well. I just wasn't very consistent. Or I don't know how to move a customer to a builder. I didn't learn that skill. And so you personally are going through in your mind and putting down these things that could happen that would not enable you to reach your goal. And this is key. And this is what any good athlete does, is they envision things that are going to go wrong on that run or in that game. And what do I do when this goes wrong? And I have a plan for it. Or because I know that I need to have a skill, I need to know how to have a conversation with the customer to help them to see the vision of being a builder. And I don't feel like I have that skill. I better write that down. I need to learn that skill, Because if I don't learn that skill, I'm not going to reach my goal. And so this is where you're really mapping out personally some of the things that could hold you up and creating a plan. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that plan of how to learn the skills, how to really forward think obstacles that are going to come. And so you already have a plan in place for when they do. So that's number one. You're going to do that. But then you're also going to list, like, I did it. And you want to list, like, how I did it. So envision in your mind, I am diamond. Like, I actually did that. What made that possible? And you might come up with things like, I stuck to my plan. I learned how to teach a business overview, and I rocked it. I learned how to build a team. I learned how to communicate my vision to others. I learned more about oils, whatever it is that is on, like, as you're visualizing this, how did you do it? So those are really key things. You'll probably want to take more time to do that, but it's really important to do that part of it and have your leaders do that part. And then you're going to come to the skill assessment. And for you, you're going to want to fill this out. Planning and prioritizing, clear vision, goal setting, setting appointments, making sales, an average order. So I'm going to go through a couple of these just to kind of define it a little bit more for you, but you're going to have to go and give yourself a rating. You're going to want your leaders to do that as well. And this is going to be your personal development plan, because you're going to start plugging away at these skills that are so vitally important, but you're going to do it in a process that makes sense. So planning and prioritizing, like, do you have a schedule? Do you have a calendar? Do you put in place, like, the chunks of time when you do doTERRA? And do you have an idea of what you do in that time? And being able to prioritize, like being able to say no to this and this and this because these are priorities. Do you have that skill? Where are you at on that? Do you have a clear vision? Like, are you kind of feeling a little lost in here? Like, you have to have a bigger reason why. Do you have a reason why you're doing this? Just because, fate, asked me to, I'm doing it. Maybe it's not good enough. Maybe you need to get better at that skill, which is a skill. I believe all these are skills. Goal setting and achieving is a skill. Why I love that is that some people in their mindset, they have set a goal, didn't accomplish it, and so they think, well, I don't set goals. I'm one of those people that don't set goals. It overwhelms me if I set a goal, or makes me feel bad. Well, I propose that there is something that's truer than that, and it's that this is a skill. And that if it is a skill, that means that you can learn it, that means you can practice it, and that means that you can get better at it. And so if you think of goal setting and achieving your goal as a skill, it almost makes it doable instead of like, I'm just one of those people, I'm not going to put a date to my diamond because, scary, I don't do that. That overwhelms me. But you could learn the skill of how you could actually put a date, because you learned the skill of going through this and mapping it out and actually creating a plan that you're going to commit to. Okay, setting appointments. I just learned how to do this, and I'm a rock star now. I went from nothing to rock star. Yes, seriously. That training with the merge, just on that, you don't even have to go through the training. Just go grab on Essential Wellness Pros, just grab the script. No kidding, it works like magic, whether you're face-to-face. And it's short enough that my brain could memorize it. So I have it memorized, or you can copy-paste it if you're sending it to people. It works like magic, and you set up appointments. In fact, just before this, I had a lady who was asking me about oils, and what I normally would have done is I would have been like kind of teaching her, and because I don't have classes set up because I'm just not doing classes right now, like I didn't really have a place to send her, or should I send her a video? It was like ambiguous in my mind as far as what's the next step. But now I know all I do is set up an appointment. I don't teach them anything. I just say, this is what we do. I normally set up an appointment where I da-da-da-da-da. And that's it. Set up an appointment. She came. I followed the script for going over the top 10 oils. She enrolled with the Home Essentials kit, even though it was more than she wanted. Like, it was more than she, like, we're spending a lot of time. I didn't say a thing. She processed the information and decided on the bigger one instead of the Family Physician kit because it's better value. Okay, and she just walked out of here like it was literally in less than 30 minutes, okay, just by following this. I am a total believer. And so anyway, setting appointments, if you don't have that skill, get it. It's really simple. Making sales an average order. So maybe you're having a hard time, you get in front of people, but you're not closing the deal. Well, it's a skill. Go on essentialwellnesspros.com, go through that training, like learn the script. I had my computer up with the script. I had this printed out that has the oils. She didn't even take this. Like we didn't need anything like that. I have the basic oils right here, and I followed the script. I said, I'm just going to follow this so we can make sure that this is like concise and what you want. Just wrote down the things. I mean, seriously, it was super fast, and anybody could do it. I just had it sitting right there. I could have the piece of paper with the script, going through it. I didn't care. I've been doing this for 7 stinking years. I used the stupid script. I didn't have to memorize it because I was just kind of looking, and I don't care that like I look dumb. She bought, and she's going to be awesome. She's awesome. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So if you don't have that skill, like do it. Or if you want to jump that up, like you only sell home essentials kits and you want to jump up to the bigger, it's a skill to get up there. I'm like practicing on the smaller ones. I'm going to jump up to the bigger ones, right? Okay. Lead generation. We're going to go over this one because this is a skill that a lot of people, especially after your initial warm market, or you might feel funny about your warm market. This is a big one. And that a lot of people get hung up on because you feel like, oh, I don't have anybody to talk to. And this is just a skill. So again, if it's a skill, what does that mean? You can learn it. You can practice it. You can get better at it. Okay? It's not just something innate that somebody's born with. And it's not just something that extroverts have. Okay? This is a skill that anybody can learn. So lead generation, basically all it is finding people that will have an appointment with you. And this back here on the 5B, this just gives you some ideas of different ways to get in front of people. Like, where do they come from? These could be people that you know. These can be people that are not interested in oils, but you are practicing on. And the reason why is because if you do start following the Emerge script, and I want to call it something else, but if you really do follow that, you are always asking for referrals. And it becomes a part of what you say and do, and you will never run out of people. Because you can start with like 5 people, and if you're asking for referrals from those people, and you might think right now, oh, that's super uncomfortable, ask for referrals, like I would never give the referrals. But let me tell you, I've done this, and it works. And it's just a skill that you can learn. So you can start with people that you know that are just nice, that will like let you do that if you're newer. If you're not newer, you can go back to people that you've sampled and just set up an appointment with them and actually teach them and go through that script and just do a better job. I have a bazillion people who I kind of sort of taught, but not very well. So it's like, oh, I just still need to follow up with them, or I just know they don't get it because I didn't do it in the right way. So those are people. It can be referrals from a class. So for instance, you might have an appointment and say, well, I don't mind if a friend, you can bring a friend. And so that is a way of bringing in referrals. It could be as well as with the class. I don't mind if you bring a couple people to a class. It could be after you're teaching the class or at the end of an appointment where you're like, hey, I only meet with people that I know or that are referred to me. As you were going through, you might have thought of some people who could be helped with this, and you get referrals from them. Vendor events are places to do it, on Facebook. Like, there's all these different ways of finding people, and I don't really care how you do it. It's not part of any kind of system. That's a skill. So this is one that you might look at for yourself if you're feeling like I don't have people to talk to. I would go through these, and I would do that training with Emergency, the script, where it starts asking for referrals. Because once you do that, you don't have to do any of these other things, because that person leads to more people, which leads to more people, which leads to more people. You will just never run out of people, and that's just a skill. Okay, and just so you know, like I said before, average 5 people, 5 leads to get 1 appointment. So if you're breaking down your numbers and each month you need to have 8 enrollments, right, in order to find your builders that you're trying to find. So you need 8 enrollments. In order to get those 8 enrollments, you know that you need to teach 40 class. No, let's say, because we've gotten better at teaching, so we enroll more. So half of those, right? So you need to teach at least 16 people, and you'll enroll half of them, so you're getting 8. But in order to get those 16 appointments, you need to times 16 times 5. So 16 times 5 is what? 64? I don't know. Am I right? I don't know. 64. We'll say 64. 5 times 16? No. Whatever. Face, unmute, you math genius. Whatever. So that number, that's about how many people should be on your sheet to contact for appointments. And if you're like, I don't know what to say to make an appointment, then you should learn the skill to make an appointment, right? Okay. So we're going to just go back to these really fast. Lead generation, customer retention. So if you're following that training from Emerge, it already sets up, okay, so what we do next is we set up an appointment, right? So that's your like membership overview, your wellness consult, whatever it is. It's already written into the script. So you're following up, whether it's in person or over the phone, you're doing that which can help retention. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. And that's a skill. Recruiting and launching. So this is, again, we're like, oh, well, how do I get the person from here to here? Well, it's in the script. There's a recruiting script that just follows along after your membership overview that helps lead them into this could be an opportunity for them, right? And so, again, that's just a skill that you need to learn. If you don't have it, if you don't feel like you're a rock star or that you're good enough, then you want to circle that that's one you want to work on. Training new people. If you don't have new people, who cares? Not a skill you need right now. But at some point, you're going to get to where I have these people and I need to train them. And so that might be a skill that's on your priority list. Like I have the builders, but they're not really effective in what they're doing or whatever. Then being able to learn that skill of bringing them together. It might be just plugging them into a system and guiding them through some coaching and helping them through that. You need to learn that. Coaching to sales results. That's a big one. That's one that's on my never done it. And that's why I'm really adamant about this. The sales training is because it's working phenomenally well. And I don't feel like I've been a very good sales coach. And so I need help with that, right? And learning how to do that. Gaining buy-in, if that's not something you're good at some point you need to get good at promoting and getting people on board. And there's different ways to do that. You can go seek out training, ask your upline. Maybe they've done something. Maybe there's a book that you can read, depending on what maybe it's you need to practice it. Like, here's a script, but I need to practice with somebody that's not scary to improve on this skill, then do it. And we'll just talk about how we put that into. Now, unless you're going for blue or presidential diamond, don't even worry about these. They're just not things you have to worry about. Okay. So we broke that down. How did I do it? We got our skills, lead generation. So then your yearly plan. So here's what you're doing. I would recommend you not filling all of this out, that you fill it out quarter by quarter. So this would be your yearly plan. So you're starting out with my goal enrollments. So for September, 8. Launched goal. Oh, let me remember what that was. So this is builders launch, right? So we know that we need to be getting new builders. You might have, if you have 8 enrollments, so you know that you should be, the goal is to get 1 builder from that, then you should have a goal of 1 here, that I'm launching a new builder. And what that means is that they are capable and have taught someone in an appointment or a class. They have taught and enrolled someone by themselves without you. That is what this would mean. Like if you accomplish that, you have somebody that knew enough to be able to teach someone else and they enrolled someone. That's all that is the way you launch a new builder. It's not going through like the launch guide. Oh, great, I completed that. Well, completing that would mean that you are able to teach without somebody else's help and you've enrolled someone, okay? So you have a goal of 8 and 1 and lead generations. That was that number 8 times 16. That would be how many leads that you need. And skill focus. So you're going back from your skill assessment and saying, in September, this is what I'm going to work on. So the most dire thing might be that setting up appointments, or it might be lead generation. You're like, I don't know where these people are, so I'm getting help. I'm seeking upline. Like, help me out here. How can I get better at generating leads? Maybe it's memorizing the script on asking for referrals. But that's what you're practicing for that month, and you're focusing on it. And your upline knows that that's what you're working on. And is this a push month or not? Okay, so what that means is this a month where I'm going to work maybe above average hours? And that might be a month where I want to make sure that I'm walking at convention, right? So you're saying, okay, I am planning June because the kids are out. I have a babysitter set up. We're not going to do any vacations in June. We're going to save them for July because this is a push month. Okay. But you need to know your months and months that could be a push month. As far as, okay, maybe November's not a good one for you because you have a lot of holiday stuff and, you know, you're going on vacation for 2 weeks. Like, probably not a good month for push month. So you need to know that. And so when Upline or someone has this great promotion going on, or doTERRA's doing BOGOs, and you know this is not a push month for you, you might not put a ton of effort into it, and you can feel okay about it. Okay, and then that also means you don't have to go with everything that's thrown at you and feel like you have to do it. Okay, and so you might fill out this with all of November's the same, and this is what you're evaluating. This is like, so at the end of September, you're looking at this and you're like, okay, great, I hit my enrollment goal. I didn't launch a new builder, but I did, you know, generate enough leads to be able to enroll that. I feel more confident now in lead generation. I feel good about the month. I'm on par, right? So October, you're looking at doing the same thing. You haven't launched a new builder yet, so that might be, I need to do too. And they might come from the September people or someone else. But you're trying to see that you're on par. This is how you hit goals, is by setting up these benchmarks that you can measure and see that you're doing the things that you should be doing. And so then this just creates your weekly plan. And this, for you, especially if you're working with a leader, you'll want to make sure they go through this and look at their schedule and give it a real number. And so I had to do that. I had to go look through with the classes that I have, the things that are going on with my kids and family and other responsibilities that I have. How much time do I really have to put in doTERRA? So I literally said 10 hours. Okay, so I have 10 hours that are blocked off. And I already know that half of those hours are going to be spent in appointments. And my other half are just going to be setting up appointments. If it's like a call like this, if it's like other one-on-ones, like it has to fit into those 10 hours. And you might have to get creative as far as leveraging your time. So maybe instead of doing one-on-one calls with your 3 leaders, you're putting them together now. You're like, I only have this much. I only have 5 hours for all this other stuff. We're doing a 3 people in one call to leverage my time so I can reach my goals. It might be, you know, other ways that you're trying to condense things if you're limited by that constraint, which is fine. Constraints help you to get creative. When you're limited, you end up doing the most important things and you get creative. And some of the most genius things come out of constraints. And so if I were to have 40 hours, I probably wouldn't be as focused as I am with 10 hours. And I will probably get more results because I know, gosh, I have to get my 5 appointments in. What things need to take place in order to get my 5 appointments in so I can be on par with what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, so how many appointments can I do in a week? You divide your hours by that. Okay, so how many new appointments per week? And so you're looking up at your goals and you're saying, you know, you're dividing that by 4 if it was supposed to be 8 per month as far as enrollments, and you're figuring out, okay, and I needed, what's that dumb number? 4 times, 16 times 5, 30, that's 80, okay, 80. So 80 appointments. So that's 20 per week. I need 20 leads per week, okay? So here's my numbers, work with me here. So right here we have, in September, we had a goal of 8 enrollments. We're gonna launch one. We need to have 20 leads. That means 20 people on a piece of paper or in some, you know, that's 20 people that you could contact. These are leads because you're setting up, go ahead. Faye, you're shaking.
Yeah. This is.
Oh, I just unmuted. Wait, go now.
Oh, this number is for the month. 20 is for the week. You need 80.
Oh, 80 on here, yes. And then you're just breaking that down by week, right?
Yes.
So you need 20 appointments per week to be on par to hit your enrollment goal for the month. Okay, so if you had 20 leads, you should be able to make 4 appointments, right? Because one appointment per 5 leads, okay? So you have 20 leads for the week. You're going to be calling those in only about 4 4 of those are going to make appointments. You're meeting with 4 of those, and your average is that half the people you teach enroll.
2.
Okay, so you're going to be enrolling 2. So how many new appointments per week? You need to have your 4. How many wish list appointments per week? Well, you're going to be following up with people. And if you're on a limited time schedule, you might be just doing those by phone, right? Instead of traveling over somewhere and doing it one-on-one. You might be doing a group, hey, on Wednesdays, I do this, appointment on Zoom. Come join. This is where we follow up on your oils. You might be leveraging your time like that. You might have more time that you can. If you're enrolling like 10 people a month, you're going to want to get creative with how you follow up, right? Because you still want to be bringing in new people, but following up with the others. And then how many coaching appointments per week? So if there's nobody on your team, you might just have the one with your upline. If you have more, you have to figure out, how can I fit in my 5 hours the coaching that needs to take place? And I might have to get creative on how that looks. But the magic happens in the appointments. The magic happens when we are talking to people about oils and doing it in a effective way. Okay? Does that break that down for like where you should be spending your time? For me, it was pretty magical to break down the numbers and to just be more efficient with the time that I have in doTERRA and that it's being used wisely. And not like, okay, I came with all these ideas from convention.
Stacy,
Yes.
would you please mute us again? Thank you.
Yep. So I came with all these fabulous ideas from convention. Not one of them was set up appointments. That's not really cool and fun, but that's really the gist of what we have to do in order to move your business forward. And you have to know how to teach people to do that same thing and build a team. Those are the 3 skills, right? Know how to sell oils, teach people to sell oils, and build a team. That's what we're doing. But it all comes down to those appointments and oils. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm just going to open it up. I know we're at an hour. Open it up for any Q&A, anybody that has questions, things that weren't clear as far as numbers, breaking things down. I know everyone's different, like where they're at.
Stace, I just wanted to bring up.
You say a little louder.
Oh, sorry. Just a couple things. I just did this with one of my leaders. And so it was a couple of things that came up as we were going through it was, how much time do you have? And it was Brittany. I can tattle on her because she'll still love me. She says, well, I always do quiet time. Quiet time is from 1 to 3 every day. So I have 10 hours a week for doTERRA. That's great. And so we can say, okay, you can make 5 appointments, but she's grounded to her house for those 10 hours a week. So we needed to talk through, how can you unground yourself for some of that time during the week? And she came up with the idea. She has a friend who makes signs and has an Etsy shop, who hired a girl during the summer to come and tend her kids 2 hours a day. Well, it's not summer anymore. So Brittany's going to call and talk to her about swapping babysitting so that she has 2 or 4 hours a week of free time to actually meet with people rather than 10 hours of time that's grounded. As moms, we tend to be super, super resourceful. And for a while, Stacy, you know, our mentor call was at like 9 o'clock at night because I owned the tire store and that's when it had to happen. But I couldn't do follow-up appointments at 9 o'clock at night. That's not feasible. So I could just see some frustration coming saying, I have 10 hours a day, but how am I not getting any appointments? Well, it's because I can't leave my house. And Dr. Hill said, if I took nothing from convention, nothing other than this one thing, and if you remember nothing, he said, it's hard to make a difference if you stand at a distance. Don't text them, call them. Don't be that distant. Make sure you have time to be one-on-one with people, not just time blocked for doTERRA. During your quiet time is great, that's great, but you've also got to have time to be able to leave your house so that you shorten that distance between you and who you are teaching. That's my 2 bits. There you go.
Well, and even thinking creatively with that, like if there are people who are bound to their house, there's people who like they can't, whatever, and they can still build doTERRA. Like Haley Hobson was saying, she didn't go teach people. Like, she was on the phone. She wasn't texting it. She was on the phone. She taught most of her people that enrolled building as fast as she did. She's like, I did not have time to go to everybody's house, but she was teaching them on the phone, one-on-one in a sense. She was Zoom chatting. She was using technology in that way because of the constraint, right, that she had. So getting creative in that constraint, whether it's getting out of that house, whether it's using technology, like, okay, well, if half the time I'm supposed to be teaching appointments, it doesn't matter if I'm bound to my house, I can still teach them over the phone. If you need to send them some samples, great. If you just like, hey, trust me, this smells awesome. There are people at the point where they just need the information and know that they should be getting a kit to start, and they're directing them in that. So everyone's situation can be different. And know that if you come to this and you're looking at the hours and you say, oh, I have 10 hours, and so this is where it's going to play out, and you're trying to reach, say, diamond, and it doesn't work out with that amount of hours, then something has to adjust, right? You either have to do more hours, or you're going to have to decrease your goal as far as rank, move it out farther. One of those two things has to happen in order for that to happen. If you don't have enough time for that many appointments actually teaching people to reach your rank in that amount of time. And that's what I see most often happen, is that, number one, people don't plan what they're doing. They just say, I'm going to reach this rank by this time and go for it, right? I'm going to go have some classes, and it's just kind of hodgepodge, whatever. But it's not actually structured out. Like, could I reach this goal by this date by doing these things? And you want to map it out so you feel comfortable and confident, like, this is doable. That's what you want to come away with, this feeling is doable. So if you get to this part and you're like, that's way too many appointments, or that's way too much time, it's okay to say, this is the amount of time that I have, and this is where I could get in that amount of time if I do this. It's okay, but you're moving towards it, and that brings confidence versus just, okay, I'm just gonna, I don't know, do some classes, teach more people, sample more people, 30 samples, 30 days, just go through that without a plan. So hopefully this can give you some structure, and like I said, it's going to take some time to work through, but it's worth the time to do it now, and then just be on your way. Now it's in automatic mode as far as just kind of checking in to see that you're on track. And know that you might get off track, and you might have to say, okay, do I need to double down and do some more time to get back on track? Like, I didn't get as many enrollments as I thought, or as many leaders as I thought. Or am I going to extend it out and say, well, that's fine, I'm just going to extend this out to too much? You're going to have to decide that. But at least you know where you're at and you have a plan. And this is good leadership for you to be able to take for your leaders, because they're looking for direction from you. They're looking for a plan. They want to know, how do I get here? I was inspired by convention to be this rank, and I want to help people, and I want to do these things. But you need to help them as a leader to put in place a plan that's doable, that will help them get there. So next year at convention, they're not like, I'm a loser, I set this goal and I was so excited, but I didn't do it. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful. If you have more questions, just reach out. All right, thanks guys.
Thanks, Stacy and Elise.